Yeah.
So how long have you been doing what you've been doing? Like, what got you into it? Even better, where did you start?
It's been about so so I've always been tapped into the spiritual side, but then with bodybuilding, it pretty much never coincides. So spirituality and ego obviously never mixed. So I pushed all of that aside for many, many years. Got married, and my ex-wife didn't really have any understanding or have a faith in any which way. So I again pushed it even further away.
Uh,
After depression and anxiety in our divorce,
yeah.
I obviously had to tap into me and understand that everything I was going through was for a purpose and put faith back into something.
Yep.
So I found energy, I found spirituality, I found myself.
Yeah.
Dive back in. And really, the biggest thing that started, I guess, the breath work side of things was the anxiety. I couldn't breathe for ages.
Yeah.
I would have attacks for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and end up on the floor semi unconscious. So,
Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
it
What
was heavy.
what was the breath work that you tried that really worked for you? Because most people have the um rare entry one of like Wim Hof, finding something on YouTube, doing a Wim Hof, and fucking doing that as breath work, and that's like I think most people's entry. What was yours? Like, what type of breath work was it?
Yeah, no, mine was pure down regulation sort of stuff. So I didn't really know what breathing was because everything got so chaotic. So I
Yeah.
just looked up breathing. So I found box breathing first, to be quite honest.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
just focusing on a good 3 second box breath, and then just slowing that down even further.
Yeah.
Just teaching myself to slowly breathe because with every anxiety attack, it got worse and got worse, and the breaths became shorter and more shallow. So I never knew how to use my diaphragm or my belly to breathe in any which way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what brought me into breath work.
Yeah.
Um, and then with that realization, it came to the fact that I realized I could change the way my body was feeling. I found holotropic breath work pretty much within like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that was life changing.
Yeah. Because you do 9D as well, don't you?
Yeah,
How
now
did
I
you
do. Yeah.
now? How did you find that as your first experience? Because
So I was in. What was
yeah,
that? Sorry.
I don't know. I was gonna say because my first experience was very different to a lot of other people. So, well, yeah, what I'd be interested to know, like, what was your first thought of 9D compared
Yeah.
to now?
So 90, the first time I got introduced to it was with Amend New South Wales at the time, which has now changed. Um, it was everything that I wanted to facilitate in one hit.
Yeah,
Because when I got into the workspace, I wanted to incorporate frequencies and binaural beats and sort of things and that.
yeah,
And when I found 9D, I was like, wow, it was everything that I needed in one spot.
yeah,
Hence the reason why I jumped into it and facilitate with it. The only downside that I find with it, obviously, is not my voice
yeah,
speaking the actual meditations and things. So
yeah,
people have that semi disconnection from where I'm speaking and then to where we put the headsets on.
yeah, yeah. I found that as well because it's a very big shift in energies,
Yeah.
and yeah, I found that as well. I mean, my first experience with it was no one told me like the levels and the depths that it went to with the binaural beats, with the breath, with the actual talking, with everything. No one told me that, and I got in there and I went straight in with a expectation, and the expectation just wasn't there. I mean, that happens with anything. Like it's like even a trip. If you go with an expectation, you're gonna come out with shit all. So it was that. But the second time I tried it, we did letting go,
Hmm.
and that like before that I'd done a harpe ceremony, and then before that we'd done some fucking regression work on working out when the first thing of like abandonment had ever you'd ever felt that. So I went through all that, then into a fucking letting go ceremony, and my fucking god, did I let go? So yeah, it was interesting. I thoroughly enjoy it, man. Like I do, and like with the breath work now, are you just doing breath work, or what else you doing with it?
So I do my own breath work as well,
Yeah,
besides the 9D, but I
yeah.
also do body energetics.
Right.
So like massage, but I also created, I guess, my own little modality incorporating multiple modalities, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so the last 6 months ish, I've been activated with Kundalini energy and been able to tap into that really quickly and
yeah,
really strongly.
yeah,
Um, so when yeah, there you go. When it happens and it fires off, and when I'm able to connect into a client, um, finding the blockages within their body and then listening to what their body speaks, I'm able to relay the messages to what they need to do that way as well.
okay, so this is it. This is very interesting. So I am still very new to the holistic side of things. Um, Understanding different energies, understanding how astrology fits so much into our daily life. Like I'm getting open to a lot of this a lot more. And recently I've had a lot of people sending me things about talking about masturbation, talking about sex, talking about the pathway.
Mhm.
I like so all of this is brand new to me.
Okay.
So
It's crazy actually bring that up because being it brand new to me, 6 months ish, I played around with Reiki a lot.
okay,
So before Kundalini, I guess, was activated, I used to call it Reiki on steroids,
yeah,
because I was able to feel the body a hell of a lot more.
yeah,
Um, but now, I guess, with the understanding and free flow energy that we have within our body,
yeah,
it's a lot easier to tap in.
yeah,
So I don't call myself a medium in any which way or try to channel energy in that
yeah,
way.
yeah,
But so if when I'm into your chest and in your heart space and things like that, I will feel where the energy is and understand what it is that you're struggling through or not trying to work out in,
yeah.
and tell you what you need to understand and go through, work out and release it from your body.
That's incredible. So I'm getting like you can normally feel obviously a slight like warmth like when
Mhm.
you're over someone, but when you kind of when you feel a space where the energy's a lot stronger, that's a bit more of an intense feeling, like a warmer feeling.
Oh, definitely. My hands heat
Really,
up ridiculously. My whole body does.
really,
Yeah, yeah.
wow, wow. Because I've had a for some reason over night times I'm going to bed, my hands are really fucking hot over night time.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, I've never felt that. It's only been recently that I've started to really pay attention to the energy.
Okay. So your body is opening up its channels and meridian lines and things like that. Our
Yeah,
fingers and our toes are really, really sensitive, and they're
yeah,
the endings of our energy. So it's where
yeah,
our energy is obviously getting extended out from.
yeah,
So I will use my body as a conduit of energy, if you want to put it that way.
yeah, yeah,
Tap into divine source and the energy around, plus your energy, and let it flow consistently.
yeah,
So mostly through sessions and things like that, my Kundalini will activate, and I'll see pretty much like sit in a meditation if I have to, just to get the information that's delivered.
yeah,
But the treatment side of things, it's, I guess, a mixture of myofascial release, acupressure release, massage, Reiki,
yeah.
um, and focusing a lot more on yeah, fascia and things like that because it's
Yeah.
not really tapped into yet. So
It's yeah. Wow. Sorry, you're a bit stoned. I had this great thought. I was just like, great question. Completely fucking forgot it.
it'll come.
Um, so when this gift kind of comes to you, like you you start to you start to realize you have this gift. You start like reading certain things and all this sort of stuff. Like when that's happening, when that process is happening, are you just a lot more aware of things? And because you're then a lot more aware of it, you can then kind of internalize what that actually may mean. Is that
Pretty
kind
much.
of that's basically it? And then over time, it gets like your thoughts, like your I've always looked at your negative thoughts as sort of like the Satan, the one that's kind of just trying to steer you away. But the one that's like the one that's you is always the one that's always positive, is always behind you, is always leading you down the right or neutral path.
Yeah.
Like you learn to understand that one a lot more, and that becomes stronger, and that's your intuition through
Pretty much.
bro. Yeah. So recently I'm doing the monk retreat, but I did a breath work about a week ago, I think it was. And as I came out of it, I was like, I need to do my yoga teacher training. I've done 5 fucking yoga sessions, like,
Yeah, yeah.
but it was just that boom of like, this is what I have to do.
Energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So that's
Understanding and realizing.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that was the very interesting thought, because fuck did I ever think I'd do something like that, especially bodybuilding for years. Like I thought iron was my life.
Pretty much.
So,
So it's finished.
oh no, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so I've been living up the coast, mid coast, near Foster, inland, on 2 acres for the last 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
I've only moved back into Sydney the last 6 odd months.
Right.
Moving back into Sydney, I was like, wow, I don't really know anyone. Old crew that I used to hang out with is not what I hang out with anymore, sort of thing. I love my boys always to death. That's not even an issue.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I need to find a new crowd.
Yeah.
I found it instantly with the people that I work out of Temple of Mastery now.
Right.
One of my best mates, Darren, is the yoga instructor.
Yeah.
We connected within less than 2 weeks. We were doing a personal one-on-one yoga session.
Yeah.
That was my second yoga session in my life. Besides like a couple of basic ones in a commercial gym sort of thing, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I didn't know what yoga was and how we were meant to use it to discover our bodies and the energies that lie within.
Yeah.
Within 10 minutes, I was breaking down in tears and I could not stop. I was so emotional and I cried for a good hour within that session.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now every time Darren and I do yoga together and we tap into each other and such, I'll break down in tears every session. Our body holds the score energetically everywhere.
Yeah.
So root chakra sort of issues and things that we've gone through will all stem in our hips, which is what I've been going through a hell of a lot more and tapping into the release on multiple levels again.
Yeah.
So now sitting in this sort of pose, my hips get really tight after a while, and then my feet will start to activate. And so I've still got work to do. We've always got work to do.
Yeah.
Being able to really understand how my spine needs to realign and open itself up. And again, with the Kundalini, it's the fire of purification. It drastically changes your internal state, which your internal state drastically has to change our external reality.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fucking wild how we have the power to access all this just by ourselves, isn't it?
Fucking oath. And it's so beautiful.
How long ago was this when you did your first thing with it?
Activating my Kundalini was about 6 months ago now.
And was that around the time where you started doing yoga?
Yeah.
Well, if that's not a good enough fucking reason, isn't it?
Like, life-changing, bro. Life-changing, honestly. And then with that, I've gotten into calisthenics, and that's opened me up even more. I weight train bodybuilder sort of style, maybe a couple of days a week, and it's purely just to keep the muscle mass and everything else, and aesthetic reasons, and obviously.
Yeah.
But if I don't find suppleness and flow in everything that I do, my body doesn't really want it anymore. I need mobility. I need flexibility. I need movement. The body wants to be limber and free.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly where I am.
Yeah.
Exactly that. That's why I've been going through learning handstands, backflip, and a few other things. Just trying to work out, like, get more mobile. Because after the years of bodybuilding, man, I was like, fuck. Like I was struggling. It was actually when I was going through my divorce, or like the early part of my breakup, my ex, just before divorce. Like at that point, that's where I started really getting into my stretching. There was an app called Pliability, and so I've been using that, and the stretch has been great because like holding something for 3 minutes is just like the feeling afterwards. Yeah, but you feel so good. So it's like the more I do that, the more I'm like, okay, a bit more interested in the yoga, like seeing what it can do. Like some of the guys I live with, all smoke a joint and do yoga
Yeah,
or do,
perfect.
or do or do stretching, and it's mate, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic. But I'm also understanding more how like the breath work that's involved with the yoga. Because a friend of mine was here the other day and she led a stretching session, which was basically like a yoga session, but it was even just the breath that we were doing during that. It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was that. So, I mean, I got back. I did get heavy into stretching after ayahuasca because I was trying to purge. So I was trying to force the purge and it wasn't happening. And as I was like forcing, it happened, but the entire trip stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And the shaman come over to him and was like, look, have some more, then smoke them a patcho, but you want to smoke and swallow. So we're smoking, swallowing. It projectile vomited. Next, I went to the deepest trip. At one point, I stood up, I started stretching, and I had a full body orgasm stretching. And I
100%.
was just like, I think I love stretching.
Fucking and that's exactly how I found Kundalini. My body went through these movements and things that I couldn't explain, and it was the most unreal feeling. So now every meditation, every yoga session, I get it in the car randomly, and my body will just start jolting, and I'm like, thank you, and something comes to you. It's like, okay, well, that was the answer.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow. So that,
But
yeah.
so I have to say, it's also something that creates massive change in our reality really quickly because it shifts so much internally.
Yeah.
As I say, our external has to replicate that.
Yeah.
So the fortnight that I got activated, I lost my dog. He jumped out of the back of my truck when we were heading up the coast to the property.
Yeah.
Lost him for 3 days. He jumped out at 110 k's. He's lucky to be alive. Got a phone call from the vet 3 days later. We found him. On the way back to Sydney, my truck's engine blew. From that, my mum had a major car accident and she's lucky to be alive. And then within a couple of days, we found out my dad has to go for quadruple bypass open heart surgery.
Wow.
Yeah, so the external had to really catch up.
Wow.
So it's all about how now we react to all of these situations and not falling back into our old patterns and things like that because our bodies have had this upgrade. Our physical now needs to catch up to this.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot to take on.
Yeah. And that was in the space of how long was it? Sorry?
2 weeks.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
Jesus. And like, how are you? How are you with it all? Like, obviously, you're rephrasing. You're looking at things in a different light, but like,
I find my challenges now and I look at the storm as a lesson. It's a blessing in disguise in the making.
yeah,
So everything that is happening is there to only redefine a lesson and make it more clear so that way I can understand it deeper.
yeah,
Or it was something that I've fallen back into a repeating cycle that I need to understand on a deeper level.
yeah, yeah,
So I enjoy it. Not that I ever asked for it,
yep,
but yeah, when they come, I'll embrace them and make the changes that are needed to change and transmute whatever negative energy connotations that are attached to it to a positive.
yeah. I think that's the hardest thing that everyone fucking struggles with.
100%.
Like, I think that was my biggest thing is I used to internalize everything and let it run around.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as I started doing certain things and like fuck me, I never thought there was like I needed deep work. Like I never thought, because I was like, hey, shit's been fucking like I don't have a life to complain about. Like it's been
Yeah.
good.
Hmm.
And so I kind of had neglected it for a bit, but it was going through my divorce. I got a therapist, and as soon as I had my therapist, that kind of really started to open up so many other doors, because it
Yeah.
was like he validated my experience, but he was like, "You've learned so much during your experience of this," and it's forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, I think can't remember where I was going with that.
The deeper understanding of what we go through and how we go through it and where we need to be, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, Therapy, when I had to go through it, I found really, I guess, mundane because I
yeah,
was doing a lot of internal work beforehand.
yeah,
So I could pretty much predict what she was going to ask
yeah, right.
and get through it really quickly.
Yeah,
The biggest turning point for me, besides breath work, was psychedelics, was mushrooms. Um,
yes.
Best thing in the world.
What
Changed my life.
what was your first experience with them?
Uh, I did 3 grams penis envy in my bed at 3 o'clock in the morning underneath a blanket.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the only way I'll do internal journeys by myself now.
Really
Yeah, 100%.
interesting. So first thing, like I've taken mushrooms, but I've never really known the names of everything. It's only
Okay.
recently that I've started to understand it's golden teachers and penis envy. And sometimes, the first time someone said, "Yeah, I've got penis envy," I looked at him and I was like, "Huh? What?" And no, like these are the mushrooms. Like they're stronger as well. So you can take 3 grams, feel like you're taking 6. Um,
Correct.
yeah. So
I didn't know that at the
ooh, that would have been interesting. Yeah, right.
time.
Yeah, wow. Because I want to start doing like microdosing again as well, because I hate taking ADHD meds, but
Yeah.
like I want to start microdosing. But yeah, with the mushrooms, I think mine was in Amsterdam. It's fucking great, but it was like I used to take 3 grams, and that was a nice sort of trip.
Yeah.
Um, but I never ayahuasca was the first one where I properly went in.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, yeah, where I properly went in. I've had a few moments. I had a few moments on acid,
Mhm.
but it was like I've never actually properly gone in with the idea of a proper journey.
Yeah. Okay. Completely different.
Yeah,
Completely different. So obviously, when we use it in a party setting and things like that, we're not going inside, but we're also absorbing every energy around us.
yeah,
So it only makes your internal state a little bit more chaotic.
yeah,
Back when I used to party, it was all MDMA, acid, and blah blah blah.
yeah,
But now, so I guess when I found breath work, I was speaking to a mate, and I'm like, I want more. I need more. What do I do? He's like, let's go on a journey. I'm
yeah,
like, set me up, and I did it. The only reason why I did it that way and still do it that way is that 3, 4 o'clock in the morning is where the veils are thinnest to the universe. So you're able to tap into energies outsourced and internal a hell of a lot quicker. But I've also not taken on any energy from the day. It's the first thing in the morning, the first 3 hours or whatever it is. I'm underneath a blanket, eyes are closed, if not an eye mask, and I have to go internally. I can't take in anything external. And then the back end of the trip, I might go outside and watch the sunrise, and then let that refill and recharge and absolutely fill my body with so much energy and love
I mean, the thought of doing that alone is terrifying, and that's yeah. I think because it's actually I don't know. I I don't know. I've had bad trips before, and I've had to internalize a lot. But I also that's the bad trip came when you weren't fucking expecting it. So when they hit you without fucking expecting it, you're in for a fucking ride.
again. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But with mushrooms, I guess if you don't have any externals from the from beforehand, and you go straight into it and you trip. Yeah. And
Yeah,
you
it's how I'll facilitate it with friends and stuff like that. I microdose on the daily. Yeah, there's, I guess, lots of little facets and reasons why I do it as well. But you can't escape yourself. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So yeah, you have to go deep.
yeah,
Whether or not it's scary, I didn't know any different.
yeah,
So
right, yeah,
it's what I needed to do, and everything that I was going through was scary enough. So it
yeah,
couldn't have got any worse.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah,
whatever was coming up was going to come up, and it was actually the most beautiful thing. I've had one, call it semi-bad trip,
yeah.
and it was because I didn't allow myself to let go
Yeah.
and surrender into it. So
And that's the key, because like
correct.
through with the ayahuasca as well, like the biggest thing was surrendering into everything that came up. Because we did one ceremony where it was me, the shaman, and one of his mates, but we all got along really well. And basically he goes, I've worked with you boys before. I'm going to give you a really strong brew. It's called Hell's Bodyguard.
Oh wow.
And he goes, I'll give you a double dose as well. I reckon you boys can handle it. And we were just like, sweet, let's do this. He
Yeah.
normally after an hour they'll ask if anyone wants an extra cup, and I normally say yes. I think each song they play is about 15 minutes. Normally I start tripping after about an hour and a half. This one, it was
Really.
fucking 10 minutes and I was deep.
Wow.
I was balls deep. And there were so many moments I was lying there, just like I was not surrendering for fuck knows what reason. At one point I looked up and I thought I saw the shaman looking out the window, but he was actually sitting down playing his drums.
Yeah.
A few moments I had to say, look, it's too much, but I held on. Like I really held on. And then as we came out of it, it was like normally the actual trip itself lasted maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. This one, I'm normally fucking half asleep at the end of it. This one,
Yeah.
I was still fucking pretty deep just as he was finishing.
Yeah. Wow.
It was long, and he asked us, how was it? And I was like, we are both just like, it's a lot. It was just a lot. So I've always been curious as to what that is, because now when I think I had a trip in Thailand which could have gone pretty fucking sideways, and I started surrendering pretty hard to that,
Yeah.
which was good. And there have been other moments that I've been learning to surrender in other areas of my life, because I
Yep.
think that everything, how you would do one thing is how you do everything, isn't it? So it's
Correct.
just like not surrendering to certain things in my life. I started just holding back, and as that's happened, things have started to happen. So it's very interesting, because that only just occurred to me just then, how we do everything. One thing is everything. Of course, if you're stressed here, you're gonna fucking freak out there. Just
100%.
occurred to me. There you go.
Yeah, so the way I guess I would facilitate and do things with anyone that wants to journey is you start slow, and you can't give yourself a big double dose straight off the bat, because
Yeah,
your information and download is going to be way too much for you to understand and process and integrate.
yeah,
It may take you now 3 years to integrate that whole journey that was not meant for you at that time. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Slow and steady, slow and steady.
yeah. We're gonna. I think we're gonna organize one here when I get back from Thailand. So, like, I think it'll be. I've got a DMT trip planned actually as well.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. So we were speaking about it this morning, and he's like, look, when you get back from living away in Thailand, fucking one of the first things we'll do is we'll go on a DMT trip and
Yeah,
just kind of see where you are, or how your trip is compared to what it's previously been.
yeah, yeah.
With
So
it,
I haven't touched DMT yet, but I believe even with psychedelics, there's levels.
yes,
So if I haven't mastered and understood my realm, which I love, which has helped me, which is mushrooms, completely on multiple levels, I won't feel comfortable yet diving into ayahuasca or diving into DMT, because the level of information that I will get is not for me yet.
yep, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. We've got one of our friends we do some work with. He's done a lot of deep diving into himself through psychedelics, but he's also a producer. So
Yep.
what he used to do is he would create journeys, and he would be able to take himself to certain places. So much so is like he's gone multiple timelines, different dimensions. He's done everything, and he's one of those people. He's everything he's learned on his journey, he's applied to his own life. Like, he's incredibly intelligent. Literally, businesses hire him to find problems with their business,
Yep.
and he's one of these guys. And he's been, as we've been getting to know each other, he's been sharing certain levels of me. He's like, there are levels that you can't know yet, and there are certain things you can, yeah, there's certain things you can know. So it's very interesting being a part of that, seeing these, like, actually seeing these levels happen.
Correct.
As it's all going on. Fucking great.
Multiple layers of progression, multiple layers.
Mate. Yeah, it's a very interesting experience. So what are you doing going forward? Like, what is your plan over the coming years for you? Like, yeah.
So I'm going full time at Temple of Mastery. So I run events and do body work and things like that. But my big thing is to obviously give back to community as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I want to definitely start creating men's groups and men's retreats.
Yeah.
That's the next thing that I am currently working on.
Yeah.
Doing that for females and then couples as well.
Yeah.
And then just big end retreats. So either weekends, full weekends, or even just a big overnight stay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the biggest messages over the last couple of weeks even has been to tap into and understand a whole lot of sexual energy that we in the spiritual community, I guess, have to, or we don't have to, but we tend to sort of ignore a little bit more,
Yeah.
or hide away from it and think that complete abstinence is the way to go. Obviously, semen retention and things like that works a fucking treat, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, understanding sexual energy and the trauma that comes with it, and the way that we've lived our lives because of certain things, and how we've lived different traits of our life because of those energies that we store because of it.
Yeah. It's wild, as I was saying earlier. This why this is coming up a lot for me lately. But everyone's sending me everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, you hear the ones about don't masturbate, hold it in. Obviously, I'm very aware of the energy transfer when you have sex with someone else. But like,
Yep.
the masturbation thing, this has been a going back and forward battle in my head of like, retain it. It's going to be cool. Like, retain it for as long as you can, use the powers, use what's given. But then the rest of me is like, I'm a male and I need to have a wank. So it's like,
that's the ego.
yeah, it's that.
Yeah.
And because I see him pop up, and there are moments like, cool, I'm gonna go do something else. So I go and do something else. There are other moments where I'm like, I'm trying to work and I'm so distracted. I'm like, just go over, wank, get out of the way, and come back. I'm like, it's such a battle.
I hear you. I was there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what is like, do you practice semen retention then?
Yeah.
So how often, like, how do you go about this? Because I've done, yeah, it's just, how do you go about it?
I haven't touched a woman in, God, probably 10 months now.
Whoa.
And it's been extremely hard, to be quite honest.
Oh, mate.
Yeah. Bro, I was, put it layman's terms, the biggest fuckboy for years.
Yeah.
But I've realized that I was that person
Yeah.
because of the trauma that I was storing.
Yeah.
And then think of it this way: whatever you're having fun with, it is all that buildup of tension and energy that stays stored in your hips that you can't release because you're just forcing it in again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and happy to say so. It's been a beautiful journey, the same way that we need the discipline in keeping to a diet and routine, training and competing and things like that. I just applied the same mindset.
Yeah.
Whenever there was temptation, I just transferred that temptation to something different. And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, I was the same. Like like my early years, I was that. Like I was a performer. I was stripping. I was on stages around the UK. Like, yeah, it was great. Then I was in a relationship. Then I got married, and then for ages, like getting ready for competitions, even when I was prepping for months on end, like because of the gear I was taking, I'd lose my sex drive completely. So there were like 3-4 months where I wouldn't do anything, and then I'd force myself to have a wank because I'm just like just want to see if it still works. But then yeah, I think since I've come out of the marriage, I've worked through a lot of the shit that I was told. Like I spent a lot of time questioning myself for who I was at the end of it. So a big thing is I've made sure that I'm making sure I'm giving time to the right people, but also not being afraid to get stuck in conversation and get to know someone, because previously I was always go, go, go. I was always doing things. I was always distracting myself. Like a big thing now is just being able to have conversations with women. I remember she hated the fact that I could talk to, I actually had to ask, can I start talking to other women, as if that, and obviously I worded it completely incorrectly,
Yeah.
but it's like she could talk to her male friends. I'd get in trouble if I spoke to her mates. So it was one of those. Now I'm making sure as I'm very open, I'm very honest with what's going on. Like anyone that I'm attracting into my life at the moment, they're a beautiful soul. We get along really well. They've got a lot of depth to them. The level of conversation is great. The sex is incredible. But then it's like, look, you're amazing. Like I'd love to do this again sometime, but like you're completely living your own life, so you're able to have these shared experiences. And I think that's been a real eye-opening thing to me. One girl introduced me to it, and I was like, it's very interesting because like you get to have these beautiful connections with other people. Obviously when you're ready to commit, you commit, but it's nice to be able to be honest with every person you're sleeping with. Then everyone knows about each other, so there's no fuckery to go about. But to then have that beautiful experience at the moment, then to drop it all and go for fucking 10 months. Have you got a set time?
No. The right person will show herself in my life, and that will change.
Yeah.
Not to say that I haven't been able to exchange energy. So
Ah,
I can make a female have multiple orgasms without having to touch her. And like she will come and squirt and whatever the case may be and shake in her whole body. And I don't have to touch her.
this is the other stuff that I really wanted to learn, because it's like, I think I've heard Tantra's so much more than what people think of tantric sex. But
Right.
I'm guessing, does this play into all of this of how to do it?
Um, Maybe I'm not 100%, but it's more to do with my Kundalini and Kundalini energy in general.
Right, right, right.
Again, I could, if you're open and sensitive enough, I could probably do it over a Zoom call. If we were able to drop into a meditation, I could probably run energy up and down your spine if you were open for it.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. So when you're able to, so with the way that I work in energy release and stuff, so we store a lot of old trauma, pain, and childhood sort of stuff into our hips and around our belly button. Our belly button is our life force energy. It's the center of everything. So we get fed from our parent, or from our mother, sorry, everything from our umbilical cord, which is attached to our belly button. So any generational trauma sort of stuff gets fed through there as well.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to release pains and trauma, you can literally dig your fingers into your hip flexors and torque them, hold it for up to say 5 minutes, and you'll end up starting to cry or tear, or the person may end up screaming their lungs out because of whatever energy has been stored there that was blocked, that has now been able to be expressed and released.
Wow. Sweet. You got the top of your hip flexors, then just basically dig in and pull
Yeah,
up.
so just where your hip bones are, go in, feel them,
Yeah.
and give them a big twist, and let your body relax and breathe into it, and let your central nervous system relax. You might feel your legs sort of start to tingle. That's the energy opening up and releasing. So what a lot of people don't work into is fascia.
Yeah.
Everyone releases muscles and tendons and stretches,
Yeah.
but no one thinks about fascia. Our
Yeah.
body holds everything energetically through fascia. So if we can
Really?
open and release fascia, your body becomes so free very quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I need to start doing some more fascia work.
Yeah.
I need to. This is the beauty of everything I want to learn in this space, and this is why I love having these conversations, because I'm like, I yeah, learning so much more about the energies the power, just the power of us.
Mhm.
It's wild. I think um with the tantric side. So have you practiced that?
Not completely, I don't think. Possibly through
Yeah.
other bits and pieces. Not that I've looked into exactly what it is and how it is and tried to do it properly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess with energy work and connection, it would work that way to an extent. I've
Yeah.
never really dived into it that way, but yeah,
Have you ever had sex on psychedelics?
yes, fucking best thing in the world.
Yes. Fucking dude, someone gave us an acid gummy. We went to the jungle party,
Yeah,
didn't fuck it, wasn't tripping, went home, smoked a joint. Next, you know, fucking I was rubbing her leg, she was rubbing my leg, and it was just got into this deep, intense thing where at one point she's riding me, and we're just looking at each other going, no idea what's going on, but fuck, this is incredible. And
yeah,
she
yeah.
just looked at me the same thing. And all I saw was just this fucking angel just riding me in this fucking kaleidoscopic tunnel.
Beautiful.
I was like, what? Yeah. Sex
I
is
actually got my wolf animal spirit, if you want to call it, through sex in on psychedelics.
really.
Yeah, so I was on top and my body transformed into a wolf and then transformed back out of it. So
Whoa.
yeah, it was intense. It was fucking the most amazing, beautiful thing, but yeah, pretty intense.
Wow. Like how
Yeah.
quick did that happen?
I was, well, it felt like a good hour,
Oh,
probably
right, right.
about 5 minutes,
Oh,
but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. And I was gonna
yeah.
say, was it one of those moments where you just like riding as you're tripping, you see yourself, you turn into this fucking this wolf, and then
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
also like you're on top or whatever. And I saw my hands change first, and then as you keep going, it was like they turned into legs. And then I looked down, and my chest was all hairy, and then I had this snout. And then I was there, I howled, and then after the howl, I sort of came back into a person.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy. I've gotten lots of messages and things through psychedelics.
Yeah. This is where I'd definitely like to dive a lot more into when I get back.
Yeah,
What other ones have you tried? Dude, you've only stick to mushrooms.
mushrooms. I smoke weed, and I love rape as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the harpe is the interesting one.
It's intense. I facilitated for a few friends over the weekend, and
Yeah.
a couple of them had only tried it that first time,
Oh
and
yeah.
they're like, "Oh, we'll be right, we'll be right." And yeah, it took them on to a wild ride, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's very, very interesting watching people's different experiences.
Yeah.
Because like for mine, first one I was bawling my eyes out in a few realizations. Second one, I can't even remember what came up. And third one, I found myself screaming into a bucket.
Mhm.
And and then I watched my friend, he did his ceremony after, and his Luke was actually purging for him, but he was actually feeling his energies moving all around his body. So it's very interesting, especially just as like it's not a psychedelic either.
No.
So it's like to see that experience still happen through something like the sacred tobacco
Yeah.
is incredible.
So your mate purging for him, I do with energy work and treatments and things
Yeah,
as well. It may not be a throw up or whatever, but I have to blow out air
yeah,
and whistle and cough and things like that. Like if it's real heavy,
yeah,
I'll end up coughing for a couple of minutes to get all of that energy out for them.
yeah.
Yeah, it's intense. Again, with anything, it's all about surrendering and flowing. And the harder the person, I guess, is into not letting go, it
Yeah.
comes from a lot of self-doubt and worth because they don't believe that they can get through that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the way a person reacts also shows you where they are at and what they need to deal with and
Yeah.
the energies that apply to it. So
Yeah. I've seen that's the ayahuasca shaman. He used to do a healing, and he'd literally sit there, fucking, literally hand on you, pulling up the certain areas, but then literally vomiting in the bucket right next to you. I
yeah.
remember seeing that happen, and I was just like, "Well, he'd speak in tongue as well."
Mhm.
I'd never heard anything like it. I mean, I think it's light language that he speaks. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was very interesting seeing that happen. And then when I saw Luke doing it, because my understanding was that was just through like ayahuasca or a psychedelic like that. Once I saw Luke do it with the harpe, I was just like, oh shit, this is like through all this work is where the energy has to come out. So it's very
100%.
interesting to see it and then finally make that connection.
Yeah.
Wow, it's powerful work you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's powerful work that you do because the healer, the person that facilitates, only shows you where you need to be and holds the space comfortably enough for you to be able to do the work.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. It's enjoyable going from stripping content with Magic Men with just videos of me gyrating my fucking dick in people's faces. Um, like it was getting millions of views as well. It was tracing clout. Like there was no substance to what I was posting, and it's like I'm 30 fucking 5, mate. I no 34. I don't know what I'm going to do besides stripping. I don't want to be coaching. Fuck. Then the opportunity to move over here because I was living in Brisbane prior. The opportunity came to move here, and they promised us the world of what was meant to happen. This was through a mate. Um, he ended up he was promising like 10 bags a month. Within a few months he'd been here. We had these multi-million-dollar investors, which we do, but basically the other guy was stooging us all out of, like, lying to us all and stealing money. He owes about $500,000 to me and about 4 others.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so it was like that shit ended up kind of flipping on its head. But just before that happened, I'd done a breath work, which was like, it's time for you to get back into social media. And then we were going to Thailand. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to start this with a brand new personality and show a rebrand, because I don't want to start something and people turn around and go, they find it and go, oh my God, he was a stripper. He was this, he did OnlyFans. It's like, no, I want to own every bit of it straight away. So it's like, there's nothing to hide. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna post shit that I really enjoy. Like I enjoy breathwork. Like the guys here are big with 9D with Brian.
Yep.
So that the guy who owns the house is one of Brian's mates.
Yep.
So I've been doing the 9D with them, which is quite cool. But it's like we were in Thailand. I started filming all this stuff and just putting it out a message of shit that just felt authentic. And that was it. I had no idea if any was going to work. And I actually just wasn't chasing clout. I just wanted to literally just offer space, because I was building a brand that people would be able to hire me as a speaker or a facilitator at events instead of them coming through a company and finding me.
Yep.
So it just stemmed to what it is, and it's really enjoyable. I just trying to stay away from the fads of everyone calling out like seed oils and sugars and shit like that. I'm not here to fearmonger people.
100%. That sort of stuff, even with myself, what we put into our body, obviously with food, what we listen to, where we hang out and stuff like that, is all going to interrupt something. So once we start clearing energy and we are on a path, you will realize internally that eating rubbish food, packets of chips and this and that doesn't make you feel good. So you start progressing into that anyway.
Yeah.
So to force, again, too much change too quickly for somebody that hasn't done anything is a lot. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Someone that's eaten takeaway or whatever it is 3-4 nights a week, and now you're like, oh, you got to cook everything organic and this and that and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it's a life-changing step.
Yeah,
we've come from a bodybuilding background and had discipline with food and things like that, so it's a lot easier on that So
yeah, I noticed it because I was getting lazy, and I got an air fryer, so I was just having nuggets and broccoli. So I
yeah,
was just like, it was like so lazy. It was amazing. It tasted amazing. But I noticed if I did it for a few days, I started feeling like shit. And I'm just like, it's so annoying being so aware of your body, but it's also because you just wish you could eat whatever. But it's like, it's actually good because it's like, okay, cool. I want to make myself feel better and work at the highest possible thing I can. So let's clean up my shit.
correct. And again, it just forces you to do the things that you, I guess, either put off or don't want to do. If you don't
Exactly.
do it, you don't progress. So
Exactly. Well, I think also from bodybuilding when I was coaching. Like, did you ever see like Lane Norton, Ben Carpenter, BD Carpenter, James Smith, all those
yeah,
guys?
yeah,
I used to see the content they'd put out, and they'd be calling people out left, right, and center, like fitness influencers and things like that, for the information they were sharing.
mhm,
And I was petrified of being caught out, even though I knew what I was talking about. I was petrified of it, so I held back.
yeah.
And it's like now I there are arguments that I'll get into and I won't get into with people online,
It's just
and
not worth it,
it
energy.
is it's fucking not, man. So I'm like, okay, my content just has to stay like aligned with these certain pillars, sharing a message, and my dog. I have to do shit with my dog. That's a given. He has to be in there.
100%.
Yeah,
Same sort of concept with myself. So after the divorce, anxiety, depression, things like that,
yeah,
um, I went through major drug abuse and suicidal things. So social media became really dark for quite a while as
yeah,
well. So I went from the bodybuilding, competing and showing my body off and wanting the validation from everybody else
yeah,
to being in a real dark, depressed state to then instantly being like this hippie dude. And people are like, how did you go from one thing to another? So that rebranding of myself had to be done.
yeah,
Um, and it was more so just to be real and authentic. So the more I showed of me and what I was going through and the day-to-day sort of practices that I led, um, allowed people to understand the new me and that the old me was really done.
yeah.
I had a shaved head since I was 18. I've only been growing my hair for the last 4 years or 3 years.
Whoa, lad.
Yeah. I was clean shaven since then. So it's only been the last couple of years that I've had a beard.
Yeah,
So identity wise, I don't look anything like I did the last 33 years or
yeah,
32 years before that.
yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
But it is exactly that. You go through that dark night of the soul to get to the point you are where it's like something has to change.
correct.
But the good thing is you're not hiding from the person you used to be. It's just that it's dead. I'm not hiding from it. All this happened. It's just dead. That's old me. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful to see that because so many people don't go.
Well, I guess I've tried killing myself a few times with drugs during the depression side of things.
Yeah,
And I've laid there unconscious and felt the old parts of me die. And
yeah,
because my body wouldn't go, my spirit wouldn't leave,
yeah,
I literally had to watch old facets of me disappear. And when
yeah.
I came back to consciousness, I felt like a different person again.
Really,
And it was crazy. That happened a couple of times, to be quite honest. But it was the same thing like a psychedelic trip.
yeah,
I get out of a trip and find so much love and worth for myself or whatever, and I let go of old timelines and
yeah,
understood the space that I've just created and stepped into a new version.
yeah.
Um, this whole new look eventuated after my first mushroom trip.
What was it beforehand? Still shaved
Shaved
head.
head, clean
Still shit.
face.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
That's fucking great.
It was crazy. It's been a good change. I like it.
Yeah, I mean that's the beautiful thing is like as everything's changing. I forgot they're turning up here. Um, yeah, as everything's changing, we're starting to see more people that are like us that are coming forward, that are sharing, that are talking, that are all that sort of stuff,
Correct.
which is good. And I think that's the thing is like for me, it's using an image that I've had bodybuilding and um, bodybuilding and stripping and all these sorts of things. You've developed a bit of a following of people that will watch you, and that's again that me and my friend we actually started a podcast last year called Got Swolled. So we
Yeah.
were both doing OnlyFans, and we had a tag team called Got Swolled. So we were filming porn. It was great. But the reason why we started that was we wanted to show that we were more than strippers. We were doing OnlyFans anyway, so we wanted to show we were more than that. But we started the podcast so we could have both of us just chatting shit, but like telling dad jokes, but also diving into deep topics that people go through. And from that, it kind of helped stem me into this of like, actually, cool, we can open up and be honest with the shit we're going through. And I think that's been the message behind all this. It's great.
Yeah, 100%. I think the biggest thing with men in general in society is the fact that we've been labeled as we're not meant to show emotions and feel this. I believe you're more of a man if you're able to show your emotions, cry openly and this and that. And I'll hold and scream that you are that man than anyone else that doesn't do it. So
right.
it takes a lot of fucking work to do this.
100%. And that's the thing, we're leading the charge in that sense of like, it's starting to become more of a thing where more and more people are seeing it. And this is the early days of, from what I can see and from what a lot of people seem to think of, men posting about this and opening up. So it's beautiful to share a space with someone like yourself to be able to do this.
Thank you.
Like, yeah, it's an exciting time to be a part of all this, man.
Bless, man. And thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to speak openly about this and not have to worry about anything spoken about, to have a space that's safe enough to be able to do this as well. So thank you.
You're welcome, bro. I think that's the beauty of it. That's where you get the real magic in conversation.
100%.
I love it. 100%. I love it, bro. Well, I'm gonna say thank you. That was cool, man. I love that chat. I'm gonna end this quickly.